this episode of Sister Wives. And we watched it and reacted to it like we typically do. You know, we're having fun and joking. And then we realized that the episode is about Garrison. And it's a very intense episode. I think it was the most important episode they've ever done. I thought it was really well done. I feel honored that the Brown family let us in the way that they did. Like they did not have to do it the way that they did it. And I thought it was, I thought it was very meaningful, but it's intense. So I guess I want to warn you that it's intense. It's about suicide. I want to just tell people, if you are in crisis, to reach out to 988. You can call or text, or you can go to 988lifeline.org to seek support, to get support. And I also want to say that the tone of Allison and I at the start doesn't fit the tone of the episode. So bear with us as we sort of realize what's being discussed. So I just wanted to set the stage, and I want to thank the sponsor for today's video, BetterHelp. I'm so happy BetterHelp is sponsoring tonight's video. As a psychologist, I recognize that many people feel conflicted about therapy. And one of the big reasons is that there is a stigma tied to mental health support. I remember when I was a student getting a graduate degree in marriage and family therapy, my members of my family pushing back on me, saying, our grandparents never had to do this kind of stuff. Why are you so weak that you need somebody else to listen to your problems? Right? There are cultural norms that push back against seeking support. If that sounds familiar to you, if you feel that, you are not alone. 62% of adults believe societal attitudes discourage people from seeking mental health support. In honor of Mental Health Awareness Month, BetterHelp is sponsoring tonight's video and working with me to eliminate the stigma tied to mental health treatment and support, and to encourage people that want it to seek support from a licensed therapist. I really believe that therapy adds value. Therapists will listen to you, ask you the right questions, help you change your perspective. They can give you advice and techniques to make positive changes in your life. And BetterHelp's mission is to make starting therapy as easy as possible. If you think that you would benefit from therapy, please click the link below or go to betterhelp.com/poppsych, and BetterHelp will give you 10% off your first month. I really recommend you try it out. Welcome back, Al. We missed you.
Did you?
Where have we been? Yes.
I think you did pretty well without me. I watched, and I have always thought of myself as the talent of the Sister Wives show, but I really feel like you really showed up without me.
Mm-hmm. Tell your friends. Now, you look very sporty for tonight's showing.
Thank you for asking. Are you asking anything?
Yes. Why are you so sporty, Al?
No, well, ask me, did I win?
Did you win your tennis match?
I did win my tennis match. Thank you for asking.
Okay, good. All right.
Okay, David, Isabel, and Tony, I'm just going to go get it. Leave it. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Okay,
what?
David.
Oh, my God.
Okay, jump.
What did he say?
David goes, what? I feel like when they do this, I like David a lot. Or I like their relationship a lot, too. Mm-hmm. I think they should show more of this and less of the cake tasting and the lap dances.
Every time you say cake tasting, it makes me want some cake.
I'm a grown up. I can make good decisions on if I'm going to climb that fence.
Will let all the grandkids say that?
What's wrong with that? They can't climb over.
Would you be pissed if I jumped over the fence?
Probably not, but she's a lot more kid experience than I do.
I feel like if you were in that position, you would have said, David, jump over the fence. And I would have said, that fence is really high. And you would have been like, jump over it. Like when I hang the Christmas lights and I'm like, it's really high and scary. And you're like, just get up there.
I have had experiences where I believe that some people are not interested simply because of my background.
Would you date Mary?
I think that I would enter the relationship with some serious trepidation. Mm-hmm. Because as my dad would say, not that he's the authority on marital satisfaction, but he always said, everybody has baggage. If you have the choice, you should pick someone whose baggage is carry-on, not stowaway.
Yeah.
And I think that Mary, coming from this family and the relationship with the other wives and the relationship with Cody and the dynamic with the kids, I think there's a lot of stuff that she's got to deal with. And I can imagine if I wasn't already into her being like, that's just too much, I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
I need to be able to trust that when a person tells me he loves me, he really does. And he's not going to come back to me later and be like, I was lying to you for decades.
She has a small requirement is don't lie to me for decades. You know
what I mean?
So Gabriel had found him. He's like, Mom, he's gone. Man, I mean, what do you mean? He said he's dead. He killed himself.
I'm impressed that Janelle said killed himself, because their first screen thing said that he passed away, and I was like, they're not gonna sugarcoat. I thought they were gonna sugarcoat it and not tell the whole story. I'm happy that they're being transparent.
And I just fell on the floor in the office.
This grief comes out of me, and I wailed.
I was just like, oh my gosh, what? No, I'm just trying to gather the details.
He told me the words that I'll never forget.
I'm hesitating to say this, but did there seem like there was a difference in how Cody, Janelle, Mary, Christine reacted versus how Robin reacted?
Well, yeah, I mean, they're all very sad. She was more she's sad, but she was trying to gather the details and be supportive of Cody. Is that what you're saying? Mm-hmm. This is really hard to watch. It's so sad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. Does Robin's reaction bother you?
No, because everyone processes grief differently, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think they do. That's true.
And I definitely feel like calling siblings that a sibling had died definitely alters your brain chemistry.
That was really hard to watch, because I feel like we were watching it in real time, them getting the news.
Yeah, the shot of Mary, actually hearing it was pretty intense. I'm impressed that I did not think that they would be like this. I don't know what I thought, but I think they've covered it. I think they're covering it well. You know what I mean? Everybody's experience. I mean, they're that family does not have to be that transparent with us, but they have been. Yeah. I think you're right that there's two parts of me. I feel like I can just say that this is my reaction to it. It's an emotion. I knew this was coming. I knew that they would talk about it, but it's emotion. I mean, it's an intense thing to see it happen to the family, and I felt myself when you see Mary talk about it, and when you hear obviously Janelle, and when you hear Cody talk about it, and he's talking about just wailing and the overwhelming grief, and then you hear Christine talking about closing her office door. All of those they're describing intense moments where they're out of control of their own emotions. And I think that is what I expected to see when I saw this. I thought that that's what we would be seeing with all of the parents. And I think that Robin's comments, it's enough that I said something, comes in stark contrast. She wasn't out of control. She's blotting her eyes like she always does, and she's trying to get more details, and she's trying to protect Cody, but it's a different tone than the other four people, right? But I think you're right that it's really important. I feel like if I could give one message to people here, is that we have to be really careful about how we judge people's reaction to something like that, right? She was in shock, and people grieve in very different ways, and that may be her way of grieving, is to try and sort of intellectually get her arms around what's happening versus feeling it right off the bat. And that's okay. And I think that I am sure people will watch this and have a reaction to that. And I think it's important that they don't judge her.
Yeah, you can't judge people's grief. I feel like if we had a traumatic event, like similar, you would process not outwardly, like I would process outwardly.
You don't even want to talk about it. I don't know how I would do it, but the idea of even thinking about it gives me great distress. I mean, that is a parent's worst. I mean, that's like it's the worst nightmare. That's
the worst. I can't even like I get emotional watching this because it's so heartbreaking.
Yeah.
He always felt a lot deeper than he expressed. Everyone in my family knows that.
Is it so selfish of me or us that like I'm so happy they got Gabe to talk about it, but I can't. I'm also shocked that he did. That the family like decided to give back or to share it like they did. Like they could have just said, "Fuck off, TLC. We're not talking about it." You know?
I wonder. But I feel like they have such a loyal following.
Mm-hmm.
Like look at us. I feel like we're part of the family. So I wonder if they also feel like their fans are a part of the family.
That's interesting. I mean, I think we feel that way, but I'm sure they're like, you're not. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm happy they're doing. I'm happy they did it though.
No.
The strongest memories I have in these 3 days was being at the funeral home with Janelle. I didn't know what to say to anybody besides I'm sorry to everybody.
Can you imagine being Cody? I mean, oh my God. I don't think that it's Cody's fault. I don't think that Cody should feel like it's his fault. And I think that, but if I'm Janelle, like Cody didn't make things easier for him.
I think he was just so deep that
He really struggled with alcohol. I don't know what happened. He was never a drinking kid, and he started to drink during COVID.
I wonder if he saw any kind of, they all knew that he was sad, right? They keep saying he was sad. I wonder if he got any kind of support. Do you know in the AUB faith is how, the whole family goes to therapy.
They're FLDS.
In the FLDS tradition, is therapy?
I don't know if like in theirs, and it's not because they're always scared, but this family got therapy, remember?
Yeah.
So.
All the love, all the support, all the help, all the resources. It wasn't that he didn't have those things. I don't know what happened this night.
Are you okay?
This is so hard to watch. It's so sad.
Yeah. Yeah. So they did offer him support, but I don't know if he ever got
I don't know. Support. I feel like you have to want it. You know, like you have to, like if you can get offered all the time, but like if you're not ready to accept it, you know, and it sounds like he might not have been ready yet to accept it.
Yeah, I think there's and I don't know anything about, I wish I knew what his, like, if he was in treatment or what is I don't know what, if he was taking medication or what, but I guess I just feel like what I want to say is, you know, it seems like he was coping with alcohol, and my guess would be, like, you know, suicide oftentimes sort of falls into two buckets. One bucket is, I'm really reactive, really impulsive, something bad happens, and I pull the trigger. Mm-hmm. And then the other bucket is, I've been depressed for a long time, and I've made this decision, and I'm doing it no matter what. And, right, and it's not like it falls in these like very clear buckets, but it's like usually one of those, right? And Garrison feels, as they're talking about it, like he's been struggling for a long time, made the decision, and then one night completes, right? But I think the people in that bucket oftentimes convince themselves that they've done and tried everything, right? Like Garrison was probably in the mental place of, this is never going to get better. The clouds are never going to part. And it's just so important that people get the support so that they recognize that the clouds can part. You know what I mean? And but that, like, to answer Janelle's question, what happened? There may not have been anything that night that happened, but he had the resources, he had the booze on board and completed. But my guess would be that he thought that there was, like, that things would never resolve, you know, which is a miss.
There's that Pink song, All I Know So Far. Have you
Right.
read that? And she
Yeah.
talks about it doesn't last. The dark
Yeah.
times don't last.
Yeah.
I feel so sad for that family.
Yeah. I just get the sense that he was offered the resources, but he just didn't know, like, how things could turn out, right? There's a lot of people that were very, very distressed at a young age, but found a way to live. You know,
Keeping him in conversation, I think, keeping stuff around with him. He's just not physically here, but he's spiritually here.
like, I know the sister's, like, doing her best, right? But, like, this idea that we're gonna make Janelle be chipper and that it's all gonna be okay is just so misguided. You know what I mean? Janelle's not ready. Janelle's not ready to hear, you know, he's here, just not in the human form. No. My baby's not here.
He had anxiety and depression, and then he started drinking as a way to sort of soothe that. We did everything we could, and I know that.
Yeah.
I know that.
I think Janelle did everything that she could. I don't think that the global family did everything that they could for him. I don't want to be a dick, but they did not.
From what we saw on TLC. We're talking about Cody.
Rob and I didn't get a chance to really just make things right. Just not being able to say goodbye.
Oh. It's just so sad. He didn't. I mean, he had lots of chances. And he didn't take them. It's a good lesson. I feel like one time you said to me, like, if you only had 20, because, like, when I fight with family members, if you only had 10 more times to see that person, would you want to have a fight with them? And then you, like, automatically think no. And I wish that, like, he had that saying in his ear. Because it's so true. Like, if you only had 10 more times to see him, do you want it to be these?
Yeah, I think it's really easy to get, especially in your case, especially with family that doesn't live next to you. It's really easy to think I'm in this big fight with them, and that's fine. But really, you may, if you, like, calculated how many times over the course of your life you're going to see that person again,
I know.
it may be 15 times, maybe 10 times, you know? And in Cody's case, I think he thought that he had an indefinite runway to, you know, lean into his pride and lean into his ego and stand up for his, you know, his role as the family patriarch and all that shit, right? And
Don't you wish you could have told him that? I wish I could have told him that. We should have done it on our video. If you only had 10 more times.
yeah. But I feel so, Cody, here's what I'll say, is he better change the way he's fucking parenting now. Like, if he's not, you know what I mean? Like, he better be in Gabe's life. He better be making an active effort to connect, you know?
I hope so.
People told me don't do what ifs. I'm going to. You know why?
That's just who you are.
It makes me feel connected to him.
If it makes him feel connected, he should definitely do it. I think people that are telling him not to do that are wanting him to feel better, right? Like, his friends want him to feel better, so they're like, don't think about it. But he needs to think about it. He's his dad, you know?
like this, and the only thing I could think about is I just want to take his body home and put him in the ground.
He like wasted so much time being mad about COVID. And like now this is the quality time he's going to be having. I like really hate that. I hate it for you, Cody, so bad. I'm so sorry.